Folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, FluffTube. We're going to try to keep this as G-rated as possible for YouTube, but this will be on Nino's Corner.tv. I am joined with none other than Victor Avila, a heroic guy, former ICE agent and author of the book Agent Under Fire. And he has his fingers on the pulse on what's exactly going on the border right now. Before we get into that, we're going to talk about his story, a little bit, touch on his experiences being in ICE, how he was ambushed by the cartels, was almost murdered. But before I do that, folks, let me get into mydigitalmoney.com. Ray Dalio, George Soros, the Rockefellers, they are billionaires. They have all the money they can ever hope to spend. They are also all investing in cryptocurrencies. Yes, even the richest in the world choose to invest in the future through cryptocurrencies. Just as when there's big talk about cryptos being volatile, the latest market dip being permanent, and the government cracking down on crypto and other issues, billionaires are buying in. Why? Because cryptocurrency is the future, and the best time to invest is when there's a dip. The deeper the dip, the higher the gains. So if you want to invest in the future, start now and start with My Digital Money. With My Digital Money, you don't just get the opportunity to invest, you get the security of knowing you are investing with a US-based company that offers end-to-end service when you want it. Go to mydigitalmoney.com, hit the link below, folks, and let's get into this, shall we? Victor, glad to have you on, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, David. Thanks so much for having me back. A lot going on, man, at the border, and a lot to tell you of the realities of what's happening.
So we're going to see, we're going to talk about this in a second, but we're going to see bloodshed on the border. You believe that? You believe there's a coming war on the border?
I really do, and it's unfortunate because of the way it's set up right now. It is drastic, man. It is. I was down there just in the Valverde, McAllen area, Laredo, Harlingen, Zapata County. I spent a week down there just a week and a half ago. I was there spending a lot of time with our agents, with sector chiefs. I got briefed by them, with the people. And let me tell you, if you think the border is bad, it's worse than what you think. It is an invasion. It is beyond an invasion. And everybody knows the numbers, hundreds of thousands of people coming over, but it's all the ones that are not being detected, that are not being counted, that are also a big problem for our national security and public safety. And that's the problem that a lot of people don't understand. What's happened in Afghanistan and the movement with the Taliban and all that has emboldened a lot of these terrorist organizations. Right now, if people don't know, there's a reward that the State Department put out for a big time human smuggler out of Pakistan, $2 million reward. Why? Because he's bringing possible terrorists through Mexico. What do? They shave their beards, they learn how to speak a little Spanish, and they incorporate themselves into these large groups of the Haitians that you've seen, of the Brazilians that are coming, and they incorporate themselves in there and they get through. But the problem here is these guys are coming in to possibly cause some harm.
Right, and they're doing all this. Is, to me, I tell everyone, this is engineered, this is artificially engineered, this is special interest. You got people like Soros, they're funding this. They're funding these Haitians. How are they getting here? How do they have the money to get here and cross over the seas, come over through Mexico, and march right up through here? These people are being well-funded, and it's well-organized. They did the same thing in Europe with France and all that. They invaded that. That was backed by Soros. Same thing happening now. Would you agree with me?
I agree with you, and I actually think that some of that funding is actually from our own government. I think some of that Haitian funding came from our own government. That, remember, Haiti's been in distress for years, since the first hurricanes that they had over there, and the corruption and the assassination of their president. And we've been sending them billions of dollars in aid. Well, a lot of that money is now being used, guess what, to bring these people in to be smuggled. A lot of the Haitians that you saw in Del Rio last month, not one that I saw when I went down there was from Haiti, came from Haiti within the last week or two. They were all in Central America or South America, living there for years. And so how did they get there? A lot of it from our own money that we taxpayers provided.
And they're creating this perfect storm where open borders and defunding the police.
Yes.
And taking the power away from the Border Patrol as well. Our hands are tied.
Goodness. I talked to the border agents. I was able to brief them and to at least give them a little bit of a pep talk during the muster at Zapata Station and in Laredo Station. They allowed me to talk to them because the morale is so low. This was right after, the whole thing where the horses happened and the whips and all that. I mean, it's like that's the last thing they need. And I was there to talk to them and saying, in Spanish, "Ánimo, let's you have an opportunity here to stand and be proud of your job, because man, they're getting hit from all sides, and it's also from the Biden administration not allowing them, like you said, to do their jobs, forcing them to do other things that we don't want them to do, and so mandates, if you will. And so they're not liking the direction it's going. And I'm not even calling it open borders anymore, David. I'm calling it no borders. This administration is fundamentally changing the fabric of our country. They want to culturally change us. The people that are coming in do not want to assimilate. I write in my book the word assimilation because I think it's very important that if you come to this country, to assimilate to our cultures of working hard, God, family, and these people they want their country here. They want Afghanistan here. They want Colombia here. They want Central America here. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. But they're eating it and they're having dessert on us in our own country,
on our taxpayer dollars,
on our taxpayer. And we're flying airplanes full of unaccompanied children to New York. It is incredible how we've been spending billions of dollars on people that are not from this country.
Yeah.
And I talked to you a little bit about the facility that I found down there. While I was down in Laredo, there's a brand new, I call it the Donna Facility 2.0, this huge white tent facility. And I went in there, I was able to go because I just walked in, but I got kicked out about 20 minutes later because that's how top secret this thing is. They won't even allow me to go and tour it. But they're building these brand new facilities for the people that are coming over, and there's hundreds of thousands of them on their way.
And that's what people need to understand. This is an active invasion. This is well engineered. This is, first they hit us with, I got to be careful what I say here, but the weapon of 2020, the election was taken. Now they're opening borders, defunding police. This is part of a engineered plan to bring down America and bring us into this globalist new world order socialist country, and I think we're skipping socialist. We're going to go straight to communism, and from what I believe, especially with what we see with the medical tyranny.
And you talk about defunding the police. We know how they've been doing it at every level. Well, just the Secretary of Homeland Security just the other day announced that ICE, the Interior Enforcement of ICE, the other division of ICE, ERO, Enforcement Removal Operations, can no longer go after employers, can no longer go after sex offenders that have been convicted.
Sex offenders,
illegal aliens convicted of sex offenses in our own country. You cannot go after them to deport them. So this is craziness. It's upside down and backwards. I go down the border. I think I'm in bizarro world. It makes no sense. The Secretary of Homeland Security was in Mexico a week ago on a Friday. And I thought, okay, because I've been saying we need to talk to Mexico. And there's all the people that are coming illegally are also illegally present in Mexico. And Mexico's doing nothing, man. There's not helping us at all.
They're all in bed together, Victor. Everyone's involved. This
and so
is
I'm
highly
saying,
orchestrated at the highest level.
And I'm saying, well, we need to have a little chit chat over there with Mexico. And so the secretary goes over. I'm thinking, okay, this is good. But I had a high level source in there in the meetings telling me there was absolutely no, the United States didn't request anything of Mexico. They didn't go in there and demand anything. As a matter of fact, we went in there to, guess what? Give them more money under the Merida Initiative. So we're going to give them more money. And I could tell you firsthand, because I was in Mexico before I got shot, that working under the Merida Initiative, and I saw the money going in there. Some of it was building their police forces and all that. But where did it get us? Nowhere. Look at where we're at. Look at how Mexico is in shambles with their crime and the borders and everything that's happening. It didn't help sending billions of dollars that way. That's not the answer.
I know people in Juarez, Mexico. I know people in Nuevo Laredo, and they're all telling me the same thing. They don't like it either. They don't like this either. They're being invaded just as bad as we are. Where do you think they're going before they cross over? Right. Let's my audience is not, but we're going to be hitting a large audience with this. And, The question they have is, how come I haven't seen Victor Avila on Fox, or why aren't you on primetime? And that's because I would have to say, because they're in bed with all this. They're a captured operation. They're not reporting on this. They don't want someone like you going on the air and airing this out. Am I correct in saying that?
That's absolutely right. I get to do a little bit on Newsmax. I got on there, and I would love to go and get more of a public. That's what I'm trying to do, is go around the country. I'll be in Vegas this coming weekend on that big conference, that Patriot conference, and spreading the word. I just did a big conference in Colorado. I'm trying to spread the word of the truth. And like I tell you, I've been going down there myself. I get the information firsthand. I see it. I speak to the citizens, to the law enforcement officers, to the sheriffs, and we'll talk about what's going on right now with the sheriffs. But I think it's important for me. It's a passion of mine as an American, as a Hispanic, to protect our sovereignty. This is what we're losing. And I think it's important that we get the truth out, because you're absolutely right. It's not being reported accurately. I mean, Fox News is giving some good pictures of what's happening down there, but that's about it.
Public enemy number one is the mainstream media. I've always said it. Before we go any further, we'll talk about the sheriffs and everything going on the border, but let's give people a little backstory on you, about your experiences working with ICE, and that which is almost unbelievable, the story you tell about being ambushed by the cartels and nearly murdered, and you watched your partner die. You want to go into that story for my audience before we
absolutely I'm born and raised in El Paso, and I started my law enforcement career there. It eventually led to my career in Mexico. I started on the other side in Ciudad Juarez, working at the U.S. consulate there in 2008, when it was the most dangerous city in the world. They were killing like 350 people a month back then.
I remember
and,
that.
I mean, it was crazy. And as that led to my permanent assignment to the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City. And it was the most I've ever worked in my career. You talk about my subject matter expertise is human trafficking. And I rescued a lot of women and a lot of children from these horrific conditions. I'm telling you firsthand that is continuing to happen right now. And I rescued kids in New York and Houston and Miami and Atlanta, all over the United States, that were being smuggled and then trafficked, most of it for sexual exploitation, but also some for forced labor. Anyway, you fast forward to 2011, and on an assignment, Special Agent Jaime Zapata and I were sent on this road in Highway 57, which is the main road from Mexico City up to Texas. And on the way back, after picking up some equipment from our counterparts, we were ambushed by a cartel on Highway 57, forced off the road. They shot at us over 100 rounds. Special Agent Jaime Zapata was tragically killed next to me. I was shot 3 times, once in my chest.
It was just you two, right?
It was just us two. They didn't afford us any backup. They didn't give us any escort. Usually that was what we would do in Mexico. You would always have 2 or 3 armored vehicles and protection. It was a botched assignment, and it cost Agent Zapata's life. I'm here by the grace of God. I survived by a miracle. And so I wrote this book, Agent Under Fire, to tell the story in detail about my assignment and what agents do abroad and what exactly happened. And then I started thinking, you know what? I know a lot of stuff about the border. I've been working this for 20 years, human trafficking, the wall, asylum, drug trafficking, all these issues, sanctuary cities. And I said, I'm going to write the second half of this book is about all of this. And that's what the second half you'll read about it, and also the solutions that I offer. And believe it or not, if you read it right now, you would think, why aren't we doing this? These are solutions that you could implement right now, day one, but not. We know the Biden administration is not doing it. And guess what? Neither is Abbott and our governor doing it as well.
Would you say Abbott is a rhino?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This guy could, he's deploying the National Guard down there, and it looks so good. Oh, deploying the National Guard. He's in this. No, the National Guard are helping the illegal aliens come up. I don't want.
They're like giving assistance.
They're giving assistance. I don't want them to observe. I don't want them to help the illegals and turn them over to Border Patrol. What I want them is on the line, on the river, denying entry to these people, because
it's a free for all right now. Anybody can just come over.
And let me tell you who else is coming over. It's not just the migrant that we feel bad. We're compassionate people. I don't blame them, the migrants, for coming. I would too, but you know who else is coming? The ones that would normally not come are like, wait a minute. I have a decent job in Venezuela or in Colombia, I'm an engineer, but the border's open. I'm going to go get a job in the United States. And they're coming too. Brazilians, over 150 countries, people from a different 150 countries are coming in. It's not just Mexico and Central America. Brazilians, Chinese, China, big problem in Mexico. Who's the only one that kept their embassy open in Afghanistan? China, because they're working directly with the Taliban. Who does China work with directly in Mexico? With the cartels. They give them all of the precursors and chemicals for the super labs that they have in Mexico for the meth and the fentanyl. Oh my God, they're pouring that in like crazy, David. And it's killing our youth all over the United States with these counterfeit pills, the Adderall, the Oxycontin. And these are kids that are not necessarily drug addicts or junkies. These are kids that are experimenting with a pill here or there, whatever judgment you want to give there. Nevertheless, they take one of these and they die because it's fentanyl. And we have over 90,000 of those deaths. But Washington doesn't blink an eye about that.
Right. I know 2 families that have lost their children from fentanyl. And one of them thought it was, I think, an Adderall or a pharmaceutical drug that they were going to take to study, and they died.
There you go.
I don't know how much they took, but I've heard of this happening. I know friends that still party in places, you know, my friends I used to hang out with, still in contact with, but they have medical testing kits now for all the drugs they test now. They test because they, you know, still in the party scene, but a lot of it they can't even use. So this is serious. Like, people don't need to understand this is happening, and you could just ask for an Adderall or a Xanax and could be the last one you ever asked for.
That's the difference between experimenting with drugs just a few years ago with now. It could cost you your life. Before it cost you a bad trip and maybe you have an issue there, but now it could literally kill you with one, and that's happening over and over and over in our country, and our politicians do nothing about it. They ignore it. I was telling you about these facilities. It angers me because they build these facilities, these tents, these incredible facilities for people that are not from our country. What about our homeless? What about our veterans? What about people that are struggling to give their kids a full night's meal? I mean, I live in the North Texas area, and we have a big issue over here with poor people. And why aren't we helping them? And we're spending billions and billions of dollars for everyone but our own people. And then I could go into the crime. A lot of these people that I talked to at the border this last time I went, they're like, well, there's a lot of crime in Guatemala. There's a lot of crime in Honduras. And I answered them, you know what? Well, we have a lot of crime in the United States. Look at what's happening in Austin, Texas with the murder rate. Fort Worth, Texas is out of control. You know what's happening in Chicago and St. Louis and those cities.
El Paso too. El Paso's having a huge spike right now. I mean, you go down to the area, the Cincinnati, the club area, the party area. Bro, there's a stabbing or shooting every other weekend now. It's just never used to happen. Never used to happen. And now it's just, just another shooting. Oh, just another stabbing. This is picking up.
This is picking up, and it's picking up because a lot of people that are coming into this country, they're not assimilating. They don't want to be part of the community. They want to get all the benefits of the free money that Biden is giving them, the healthcare system, the school systems. And then, of course, the criminal justice system is going to be involved. But now they're coming with this attitude, like, you need to let me in. And you see them like they feel entitled. I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're a country of law and order here. Mexico is the first one to say we're a sovereign country and we're not going to allow people to tell us what to do. And I'm thinking, why doesn't the United States do the same thing? Why are we not protecting ourselves?
We're at war right now, and we're being infiltrated. We have been successfully invaded by Trojan horse. We know who that is. And now this is what's happening. We are at war. And I tell people, yeah, you may have to research a little bit to understand that. But we are at war right now. Our country is being successfully invaded. Now, before we go into the sheriff's thing, are you predicting, and we were talking earlier, are you predicting, and I see it happening too, and I've heard there's Haitians coming here that are declaring war. They're coming armed. Am I right in saying that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've seen cartel members on the U.S. side of the Texas border armed. I have a picture, and I should have sent it to you before, but I will send it to you. This guy's walking with a rifle and headphones in a ranch on the U.S. side, a cartel member. And so if you think that they're not on the U.S. side, they are on the U.S. side. And look at what happened in Haiti. They've kidnapped the missionaries, American U.S. citizen missionaries, Haitians, but yet we're allowing them to come in through our border. And so this invasion and this war that you're talking about is absolutely true. And they're using the southern border as cover for it. They're using it to enhance it. And it is. And the last thing I want to see is bloodshed on there, because there's sheriffs that, let's talk about it. There's sheriffs, there's people in our state of Texas that have had enough. And
what's going on with the sheriffs right now? You told me before they were deputizing citizens.
Yeah, so sheriff from Kenny County. Kenny County is right next to Valverde County, right next to Del Rio, where all the Haitians were. And Kenny County is kind of stuck in the middle between these two counties, where all these people, all these aliens come through theirs. They're destroying the ranchers, the properties, the fences, the robberies, the crime, and they're frankly tired of it. And they said, you know what, we're gonna see what ultimate. The sheriffs have a lot of authority here, and they did their homework, and right now they went public with it yesterday, and they are deputizing civilians, and they're going to start with ex-military, ex-police. They're doing a great job of vetting each individual, and they've squared off a 60 square mile area of their county where they're going to set up a kind of like a green zone, and they're going to stop people from coming in, no matter what Abbott says.
Okay, so what? Let me ask you this. So what? Yeah. So we know this is coming. So they deputize they deputize the citizens. What initiative can they take? What are they going to arrest these people and then deport them? How or do they keep them in a containment in a camp? How does this work? How are they going to solve this problem?
The plan is to not allow them in to begin with, and send them back to the river.
They'll just reroute, and they'll say, okay, then we're not coming in this area, so we're going to go over that way. Or am I right in saying that?
Yes and no, because it hasn't happened. Nobody stopped them before. So what we want to do, and what the sheriff is doing, and he's so brave for doing it, and I really
is he the only one? Is this the only sheriff doing this?
Yeah, so Uvalde County Sheriff is also jumping on board. There's a couple of other sheriffs, but the Valverde County Sheriff from Del Rio is not yet. He's not on board. But I think when he sees this happening, I think eventually they're going to jump on board, because the Kenny County Sheriff has been asking Abbott for 2,000 National Guardsmen, and they haven't even responded to them. And the other ones that are going to the other counties are just there basically to observe. You saw what happened after the Haitians came in and they parked all the Texas Trooper SUVs, and they look great. Oh, we're securing the border. Why didn't you do that before the 15,000 Haitians came in? They did it after. It makes no sense. Yeah. Policing is about being proactive as well, not always being reactive. And so I commend the Kenny County Sheriff's Office and the county for doing this. They're going to send them back. They're not going to allow them to come in, and they're going to send them back. And guess what's going to happen, David? Are they going to reroute? Are they going to go back to the river? Something has to happen, but they're thinking, you know what? We gotta shake it up. We gotta move it, because nobody's doing anything. And now here's some true action being done. And I want to give out his website, because they need a lot of funding. They need a lot of help in funding the new personnel and a lot of equipment. And it's defendourborders.org. Defendourborders.org. That money will go straight to the Kenny County Sheriff's Department. They're going to use it for equipment. They're going to use it for housing of the people that are being deputized. They're going to use it for surveillance camera. They need a big fence around that 60 square foot mile area. They need a big fence they need a lot of funding, a lot of help. And I'm trying to get them that help. So hopefully like you said, other sheriffs will see, you know what, we better jump on board here, and hopefully I see that Abbott will see this and eventually help them, send them some help, but also send a message to the Biden administration and say, you know what, we don't care what you do over there. We are a sovereign state, and we have our own laws to defend. And no matter what you say, we're going to defend them.
What do you have coming up, Victor? Are you going to be visiting the border? I guess in the coming months, you're going to be out there a lot more often, correct?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll be going back. I just got back right now, so I'm taking a little break. I probably won't hit it until if the Kinney County Sheriff's thing goes on, it gets a little bit hotter. I might go later on this month. If not, I'll probably skip until the beginning of the year and go back. But I'm gonna continue to speak. I go to these conferences. I'm going to the big Patriot one in Vegas this weekend. And other events. I speak around the state of Texas to tell people the truth. And a lot of it gets political. It does. And it's important that people say, well, you don't want to get political. You know what? It's important that we get political. Let's get very political.
The time is now. No more
time is now.
pussyfooting around this. It's now. We get political now.
Let's get political now. Let's get unafraid. Let's stand up. Let's act. Let's protect our country. Let's protect our state.
Victor, where can people find you?
Go to agentunderfirebook.com. And you could also follow me on Instagram at Victor Avila Jr. and a good old Facebook. I'm still there, Victor Avila.
I got bombed. You're there. What's your Facebook? Just Victor Avila?
It's Victor Avila at Victor Avila. And Instagram is good. I put a lot of the videos of these craziness that's happening on the other side of the border. Some I've sent to you, David. I just got some really bad ones the other day, man. It is.
Yeah.
By the way,
some of them makes my stomach turn.
I can't even see them. I can't even see them. And let me tell you, the other side of Matamoros in Brownsville right now, hot spot, man. Firefights galore on a daily basis almost over there. This is right on the other side of Texas, not in Iraq, not in Afghanistan, right here.
Victor, can you show us the book real quick? It's right behind you. I have
a copy right here. Oh, yeah, here you go.
Agent Under Fire, and they can get that at agentunderfirebook.com.
Yeah, I have links to Liberty Hill Publishing. If you don't want to go through Amazon, I have Amazon, but also barnesandnoble.com. And wish you could support and get a copy. You will go through some emotions when you read this book, and you'll get some good insight on border security.
It's an amazing book. And Victor, I got to say, man, I want to have you on more often. You shine a light on this issue and the coming bloodshed on the borders. And one last question. How bad do you foresee this getting in the next few months? Is it going to just escalate to where there is no control at all? I mean, that's pretty much what it is right now. But how bad do you see this getting in the next 2 to 3 months?
The reality is it's not getting good. And in the next, the Remain in Mexico policy is supposed to go into effect. Guess what that does? They're going to send them even more people at once. And if we have our patriots standing and holding the line, something's got to give. And I don't want to see violence, and I don't want to see bloodshed, but we got to protect our state. Remember the Alamo, remember our history, remember where we came from, because we got to the point where we have to stand up. And unfortunately, we're not getting the backup from the Biden administration or even our governor. So we need to really pay attention to those politicians who are representing you. Do get on the phone, do get on the email and pester them and tell them, what are you doing to protect my community and my state and my city? What are you doing? Since we elected you, what are you going to do for us? Why aren't they getting together? Why aren't they collaborating? Why aren't they putting pressure? Why aren't they doing that?
I need to put you in touch with Chad Prather or Prather. I keep saying his name.
Oh, I know Chad. I know Chad.
Man, I took
my
vote.
I took Chad to the border. I took him in this past. He asked me. I took him to Del Rio. I showed him around. It was a great border visit, and he's a patriot, man. I've met with all of them. I met with Chad, Don Huffines, and Alan West. I met with all of them. They're all patriots. They're all good men, and they all want, I think, the interest. There's some differences in between some of them, but at this point, it's anybody but Abbott.
Yeah, anybody or O'Rourke.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's worse than Abbott.
For sure,
so
yeah.
You got Huffines, you got Prather, and Alan West, who's got my vote too. So Alan West, Prather, and Huffines. Victor, thank you for joining me. I'm going to be putting this on Fluff Tube tonight. I'm going to premiere it at 7:30. Hopefully I don't get bombed. So I appreciate you. This will live and breathe on Nino's Corner.tv. Victor, thank you so much for joining me once again, brother. Keep up the fight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless.